Hello, YouTubers. How's it hanging? Please share and subscribe right now to the Dennis Ramsay YouTube channel. Thank you. World famous Kempful folk artist Dennis Ramsay, me. I do fine art, abstract art, paintings, and folk art, which I'm known for. To request your Dennis Ramsay paintings, give me a phone call, 902-365-5044, no jive. I live in the small town of Kempful, Canada. Please share and subscribe to the Dennis Ramsay YouTube channel. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about the rehab center in Waterville for the mentally ill and insane. I was out there for about 1 year. I was put in there by the RCMP and a couple ladies that did something evil to me. I didn't know I was heading there to the rehab center for a year until they made some phone calls and lied about me. Anyhow, I was there for 1 year straight, and it was a very bad spot. You had violent offenders that were mentally insane there. Anyhow, I'm going to talk about one chap that I used to have breakfast and dinner with and supper. Now your food, you go to the cafeteria, and your food was put on these plastic hard trays. Anyhow, he snuck up on this old lady and hit her on the back of the head with his food tray and knocked her out cold as a cucumber. I thought he killed her. She was flat out on the floor, and I think it took them about 20 or 30 minutes to revive her. Anyhow, they put him in the quiet room for about 2 weeks, and they gave him a shot in the ass of some kind of medication to knock him out. He was a big chap. He would have been about 280, 6'4", and strong as an ox. Anyhow, I was happy to see the old lady recovered. Anyhow, I was out there for about a year straight. The worst part about being in institutional beds is they're covered in plastic, and with the sheets you slip and slide all night trying to get a good night's sleep, which you can't do. Anyhow, me and Richard Graves, the next patient there, rest in peace, Richard, he passed away a few years back in a house fire. Me and him escaped one day. Now, if you ever been to the Waterville Rehab Center or hospital, it's in the back about a mile from the road. So, when the orderlies opened the doors, me and Richard made for a run for it and knocked down the orderlies and ran down through the field. And I was young and strong back then, and I could probably outrun most cops back then in the 80s. Anyhow, I ran down through the field about a mile and a half, made it to the main road, and started hitchhiking. And I got lucky. I got a ride about a half hour later, and I got out of the rehab center. They didn't catch me until about 7 or 8 days later and brought me back to the mental hospital, where they put me in a straitjacket, then in the quiet room. And I was in there for about 4 weeks, I guess, or 5 weeks, something like that. You lose track of time when you're in isolation. Anyhow, the food was good in Waterville, but the company was bad. There was a lot of sad cases of young girls that would come into the rehab center, and they'd try to commit suicide by cutting their wrist or pulling a bad one by taking too many pills and an overdosed. But anyhow, a lot of the ladies survived their suicides, which is good news. Anyhow, they had me on medication back then. It was Valium, which is a very strong pill, and it zonks the shit right out of you and gives you a dry mouth. Anyhow, I was there for about a year and got the hell out of there and never was back to the Waterville Rehab Center Hospital in Waterville. Thank God for that, if there is a God. Anyhow, it's like any hospital. You're surrounded by violent, insane people that'll grab you right out of the blue and start fighting. They'll kick you or punch you or strangle you right out of the blue. So you had to be able to fight, which I was able to fight and defend myself. Now I'm getting old, I don't know if I could do that today. I don't know if I could survive the institutional life that I once did. Anyhows, there was Dr. George there, and a doctor I had in later years, Dr. Brian Garvey. He was my doctor for about 9 years, and Brian Garvey died of cancer several years back. I had Dr. George, Dr. O'Brazel, Dr. Garvey, Dr. Stroke, and a few other doctors. I had doctors from India. Anyhows, please share and subscribe to the Dennis Ramsay YouTube channel. Thank you. Most people that escape out of an institution got to be willing to knock down the orderlies or the staff and make a run for it. You have to be able to physically knock them to the ground and then run for it. That's how I escaped out of 3 or 4 institutions. Now, the abuse was bad in the Waterville Rehab Center. Sometimes they would punish you for little things that were insignificant. I was in that quiet room probably 15 or 20 times in the Waterville Quiet Room in Waterville, Nova Scotia, Canada, for very little things. Back then it was a strict time. If you did the least little thing, you would be punished. Now, the orderlies would try to gang up on you and put a pounding on you. There'd be 2 or 3 together that would attack you, but one-on-one, they wouldn't say boo or touch you. They'd wait until they got 2 or 3 of them to tackle you. Because I don't know if you're aware, mentally ill people like myself are very strong. I can take down 2 or 3 people usually as a rule. So never judge a book by its cover. That'd be your first mistake. Anyhow, share and subscribe to the Dennis Ramsay YouTube channel. I spent a year out at the Waterville Rehab Center. I did leather work and played cards and pool and kept myself busy. Anyhow, the food was good, the company was bad. It's like any institution. Never trust the people that you're inmates with, because they can turn on you like a damn rattlesnake, and usually they do. I don't trust nobody. The only person I trust is myself, the best man. Please share and sub up the Dennis Ramsay YouTube channel tonight and tomorrow. I do rock and roll songs, and I paint pictures, and I enjoy most sports, and YouTube videos are fun to watch. Anyhows, I had Dr. George and Garvey, Dr. O'Brazel, and a few other types of doctors that were my psychiatrists. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. It's like any profession. You have good and bad in all professions. Please share and subscribe tonight to the Dennis Ramsay YouTube channel if you like these true life stories. Anyhows, I ended up strangling a few of the patients until they passed out because they were trying to hurt me. So I'd grab them and put the sleeper on them and put them to sleep. But they always revived the patients that I put to sleep. A few minutes later, they bring them to. But I was able to defend myself. I knew wrestling and boxing, and I know a few other sports. And it came in very useful for defending myself. I can kick most people and knock them to the ground with one kick. And there's not a damn thing they can do about it. Please share and subscribe to the Dennis Ramsay YouTube channel. Thank you. And have a nice day. Hope you like these true life stories of Dennis Ramsay. I got more to tell in the near future. Have a nice day. And please request your $1 million paintings from me, Dennis Ramsay. Give me a jingle. 902-365-5044. I'll do your paintings for $300,000 a piece, up to $1 or $2 or $3 million each. Famous folk artist Dennis Ramsay, over and out. And finally, a wink for Grandma and Ma.